everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I'd like to continue today's lesson as a continuation of what we did yesterday, talking about key features of quadratics. So namely, we're going to be talking about x-intercepts, y-intercepts, the vertex, is it a maximum or a minimum, the axis of symmetry, and is the leading coefficient positive or negative? And that really has to do with, does it open up or down? Does it look like a smile or a frown? Okay, so you have your notes. If you brought your packet home with you, it's in your packet. It's the second lesson. If you didn't bring your packet home, there's a link to the notes that you can either print out or just follow along. So I'm looking for, it looks like this. And then there are four graphs, four parabolas that we are going to look at. So here are the four. So we're going to start with graph number 1. So I'm going to go through graph number 1 with you. So the first part in your box says x-intercept or x-intercepts. So we want to look at where our parabola crosses the x-axis. So if we look here, we have an x-intercept right here, and that's at -6, and we have an x-intercept here at 2. It's a little hard to see. Honestly, I'm not sure why those little red dots are there. This would be 1, and this would be 2. So at x equals 2. Okay, so let's see. X equals -6 and x equals 2. Okay, the y-intercept is where my parabola crosses the y-axis. So if we look, right here is where it is crossing the y-axis. So my y-intercept is y equals 12. It crosses through the y-axis at 12, right? That purple parabola is crossing through at 12. Okay, the vertex is either going to be a maximum or a minimum. So let's highlight the vertex right here. And before I say it, I want you to think about, do you think this vertex is a maximum or a minimum? Okay, so this vertex is a maximum. It is the highest point on the graph. And we want to look and find the equation of this vertex. -2, 16. The graph is a little hard to see here, just so you can see it a little bit better. Here is -1, here is -2. So I went left 2 and up 16. Okay. The axis of symmetry, that's that line that cuts the parabola in half. So let's highlight that so we can see it. That is right here. And the equation of that axis of symmetry is x equals -2. That's the line that cuts the parabola in half. Okay. Is the leading coefficient positive or negative? We haven't really talked about this yet, but since the parabola opens down, it looks like a frown rather than a smile. It opens down. The leading coefficient is going to be negative. And what that means, I don't know the exact equation of this parabola, but it's going to be some sort of y equals -x squared. There might be more to it, but the important part right now is that there is a negative in front of the x squared. That makes the parabola look like a frown. So let's see, negative. And it's opening down. And the last question, I don't think you have it on your chart. Oh, no, you do. But it's number of distinct roots. How many different, that's what distinct means, how many distinct roots do I have? Well, we know that our roots are our x-intercepts. So I have 1 at -6 and 1 here at 2. So the number of distinct roots that I have is 2. Okay, what I would like you to do is, if you feel comfortable, I'd like you to look at the rest of the graphs on your own and fill them in. And if you would like to check, I'm going to do the rest of the graphs on this video anyway. If you're not comfortable yet, maybe you want to follow through graph 2 with me and then pause, try 3 and 4 on your own. If you're really not comfortable, maybe you want to do all three graphs with me and try 4 on your own. Whatever you feel comfortable with. I will do the rest of them, but at some point I would like you to try to pause and do at least one or two of these graphs on your own. See what you can do. So if you're comfortable, pause and do graphs 2, 3, and 4 on your own. If you're not, I'm going to continue on. Okay, so here we are at graph 2. We want to find our x-intercepts, so let's highlight it so we can see it. It's right here. So the equation of that is x equals 2. This graph's a little easier to read because each line is 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? The y-intercept, where the parabola crosses the y-axis, crosses it right here. So let's think what that y-intercept would be. It's going to be y equals 4. Okay. Is the vertex a maximum or a minimum? Maximum or a minimum? Is it the highest point or the lowest point? Well, the vertex here happens to be our x-intercept. Sometimes that happens. It is a minimum. It is the lowest point. And the ordered pair of that point is 2, 0. Right here, I went to the right 2, up 0. So the ordered pair, the x, y, is 2, 0. Okay, let's do the axis of symmetry. What's cutting this parabola right in half is this line right here. Remember, it's always an x equals line. So in this case, it is x equals 2. That's the line that's cutting this parabola in half. Is the leading coefficient positive or negative? Does it open up or down? So kind of the way I always say it is it a smile or is it a frown? Well, this is a smile. It looks like it's smiling. It's opening up. That means the leading coefficient is positive. So in other words, the equation of this parabola is sum y equals x squared. There's just a positive x squared. There are definitely other parts to it, but it definitely contains x squared, not a negative x squared. Negative x squared is when the parabola opens down. Number of distinct roots. Remember, your roots are the same thing as your x-intercept. They are synonyms. So the number of roots, how many different roots do I have? Just one. I just have that one root. Sorry about that. I just have that one root at x equals 2. Okay, so I'm now going to do graph 3. Let's look at graph 3. Here we are. Okay. So my x-intercepts, well, I have one here and I have one here. So my x-intercepts are x equals 1 and x equals 5. That really goes along with this bottom question, number of distinct roots. Well, how many roots did you have? I have 1, 2 roots. So that answer down there is going to be 2. Okay, my y-intercept. Where does my parabola cross the y-axis? Crosses it right here. So that's going to be some sort of y equals, well, it's crossing it right at 5. So y equals 5. Okay, let's take a look at the vertex. Let's highlight the vertex. Is the vertex a maximum or a minimum? Well, it is a minimum, right? It is the lowest point on the graph. And that ordered pair is 3, -4. 1, 2, 3, down 4. So that vertex, which is a minimum, is the point 3, -4. Okay, let's do the axis of symmetry. What is the line that cuts this parabola in half? Here it is. Remember, it's always an x equals line. In this case, it is x equals 3. This is the equation of the line x equals 3. That's the line that's cutting the parabola in half. Okay, is the leading coefficient positive or negative? That's asking, does it open up or down? Smile or frown? Well, you probably see that it's a smile. That means it opens up, and my leading coefficient is positive. Y equals x squared. No negative on this one. How many roots do we have? Well, how many roots? We said we had 2 roots. At x equals 1 and at x equals 5. Okay, Let's look at graph number 4, our last graph. Okay, so, we have a little bit of a problem here. I don't have any x-intercepts, so we're just going to say that there are none. Y-intercept, it's a little hard to see, isn't it? Let's see. It's crossing through right here. So we're going to say that is y equals 22. Okay, is my vertex a maximum or a minimum? Well, this vertex is the lowest point, so it is a minimum. And then we just need to get the ordered pair for that. It is 3, 4. Okay. My axis of symmetry, what is the line that cuts this parabola in half? It's right here. Okay. That is x equals 3. This graph, again, is a little hard to read like number 1. Here's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. X equals 3. Is the leading coefficient positive or negative? Well, is it opening up or down? Well, we know by now, I think we can see it's opening up. It is a smile, so the leading coefficient is positive. Okay. And then we kind of know the answer to number of distinct roots based on what we answered in up above. We have no roots. We have no real roots. So we're going to say 0 for that. We have no real roots. It does not cross the x-axis. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. We'll be continuing on more in our lessons tomorrow, but for now, this is all for today. Talk to you all soon. Bye.